Imagine yourself in the middle of a storm, when the wind blows hard and dark clouds cover the sky. The sound of thunder makes everything tremble, and you feel how small you are in the face of the immensity of nature. It was in this scenario that God spoke to Job, a man who had lost everything he had, his possessions, his family, and even his health, was crying out for answers. He wanted to understand why he was suffering so much, something we can all relate to in difficult times. Then, from the middle of the storm, God answers, but not with direct explanations. He asks questions that make us reflect on how much we know about creation and the universe. God's first question is clear: where were you when I created the world? Have you ever stopped to think about that? How can we question the creator of something so great, if we don't even know how it all began? God leads us to reflect on our limitations and on the mystery behind every detail of life. God continues to describe creation in a poetic and impressive way. He asks Job if he knows who has set the boundaries of the sea, who has set its doors and bars. God says, "I covered the sea with clouds and covered it with darkness. I marked its boundaries and said, 'You shall not pass from here.'" Think about the power of the sea and how, despite all its vastness, it obeys the limits established by God. This image reminds us that everything is under the control of the Creator. God speaks of the mornings that are renewed, saying, "Job, have you ever commanded the dawn to come in the beginning of a new day?" Every sunrise is an invitation to observe God's work. Have you ever stopped to notice the colors of the sky at dawn? This makes us reflect: if something so grand and constant happens without our intervention, why do we feel so in control of our lives? What can we learn from observing the order that God has established in nature? God also speaks of the depths of the sea and the mystery of death. Job, have you ever visited the springs of the sea? Have you ever walked along the bottom of the ocean? Has anyone ever shown you the gates of the underworld? These questions remind us that there are places and knowledge that are beyond our reach. To this day, with all the technology we have, human beings have not explored all the depths of the ocean. God asks questions that reveal our limitations and invite us to humility. He asks Job if he knows the origin of light and darkness and if he knows how to guide them back to their starting point. It is impossible not to feel a mixture of admiration and reverence before the greatness of the universe and the perfection with which everything was created. God not only shows his power, but reinforces that he is present in every detail, from the heavens to the depths. In addition to talking about the earth and the sea, God mentions the stars and the laws that govern the sky. Can you bind the stars of the 7 little goats with a rope or loose the chains of the 3 Marys? The stars are there, but not because human beings control them. God is the one who positions them. He asks Job if he knows the rules that sustain the universe and how to apply them to the earth. Have you ever thought about how everything in the universe works in perfect harmony? The cycle of the seasons, the rain that feeds the plants, the precision with which the constellations appear and disappear. This reminds us that there is a divine order in everything. God also questions Job about the control of rain and lightning. Can your voice reach the clouds and command it to rain? God shows that everything is under his command, from the ibis, which announces the floods, to the rooster, which crows before the rain. Who are we to want to understand everything and control the uncontrollable? Finally, God speaks of animals, showing his care for even the wildest creatures. He asks, "Who feeds the lionesses and satisfies the hunger of the young lions? Who feeds the ravens when their young cry for food?" God does not forget any living being. With this, he teaches Job that his wisdom and care go beyond what we can comprehend. Faced with God's questions, Job realizes his own insignificance and acknowledges, "I am unworthy, I do not know how to answer." He understands that he does not need to have all the answers, but rather to trust God. Like Job, we can reflect, are we willing to trust even without understanding everything? Chapter 38 reminds us that God does not abandon us in the midst of life's storms. On the contrary, he calls us to look at his creation and remember that even when we do not have the answers we desire, he is in control. What part of this message touched your heart the most? Leave a comment and share your thoughts on trusting God, even without all the answers.